Good day, distinguished judges. We are Team NexaFem, and I'm presenting alongside my teammates Hamida, Chizoba, and Oindamola. Our focus today is on a strategic challenge which is critical to modern global commerce: supplier alignment for sustainability. The title of our case study is Aligning CO2 Goals Across Michelin and Key Suppliers. Our analysis focuses on Michelin's, which is the focal company, and three major Tier 1 partners whose emissions determines Michelin's success. We must understand their distinct roles and the conflicts that they create. First is ExxonMobil, which is an energy company that is a massive supplier which provides essential high carbon chemical inputs. They are the largest risk factor because their corporate goals often exclude Scope 3 emissions downstream, which is the main need Michelin needs to control. The next is Duke Energy, which is an electric utility company, and it supplies is a crucial supplier for Michelin, and it supplies Michelin with purchased electricity. The emissions are tied to the carbon intensity of the regional power grid, meaning that technical solutions are needed to actually verify the low carbon nature of the energy Michelin buys. The next is Beckett, which is a material supplier company, and it supplies critical steel components, but their challenge is tied to feasibility. They have complex production processes, and the cost of switching to low carbon production is a massive capital expenditure barrier. The overview of our case study is that Michelin aims to meet its public climate goal, and its progress depends on its suppliers' GHG emission performance. And the challenge is that lack of alignment in sustainability targets and data. The task that we have here today is to develop a cooperation agreement, the ISCEA, that connects Michelin and suppliers under a shared sustainability vision. The problem with Michelin is its decarbonization targets can't succeed without aligning with its suppliers. That means they need a supplier cooperation. The current gaps include inconsistent emission targets and reporting, weak data comparability, and limited shared accountability, which results in slower progress towards CO2 reduction goals in 2050. The importance of supplier alignment cannot be overestimated. It enables consistent data reporting and GHG tracking. It also promotes shared accountability and joint action. It supports risk reduction and supply chain resilience, which in turn accelerates progress towards sustainability targets. It also builds a transparent and collaborative network. The objective of our case study is that we aim to understand why supplier alignment is critical for decarbonization, compare Michelin's and suppliers' GHG targets and data, identify the top 5 alignment gaps, design a one-page SCSCA cooperation agreement, and propose a practical roadmap with guardrails, KPIs, and milestones. Then, the executive summary includes our recommendation, the 3 pillars of action and challenge, and the problem Michelin faces. Our recommendation is that Michelin must shift from transactional compliance model to a shared accountability ecosystem governed by the SCA model. And challenge is the Scope 3 dependency. Michelin's net zero hinges on external action, as most emissions Scope 3 are supplier driven. Lack of supplier alignment guarantees failure. The 3 pillars of action, which is to mandate consistency, standardize targets and Scope 3 boundaries, integrate procurement, link GHG to contracts, and then co-invest to provide technical support and co-financing for suppliers. The problem is the unilateral targets. Without alignment baseline, every supplier's GHG report is an island, leading to misalignment, duplicated efforts, and unverifiable data, increasing systemic risk. I'll be handing over to Hamida.
To understand our solution, we must first analyze the conflicting standards of the 4 companies, as detailed in this table. Our core discovery is that we have 4 entities that is operating under these 3 inconsistent standards. So the first one we look at is the 2050 target scope. This is the most dangerous column because Michelin, the focal company, aligns perfectly with BCAT in committing to scope 1, 2, and 3. This means they cover everything from factory to supply chain. However, our risk suppliers deviate. ExxonMobil states its net zero commitments cover scope 1 and 2 only. This exclusion of scope 3 is a crucial structural conflict because scope 3 is the emission Michelin buys. Duke Energy is also incomplete, focusing only on scope 1 and key scope 3. This immediate fracture in what they measure creates our top 5 gap analysis. The near-term ambition type. We look at the language of the targets. Michelin and BCAT are using the rigorous absolute reduction targets, which is mandatory for being SBTi aligned. This guarantees the total mass of carbon. For our top 5 gap analysis table, we compared Michelin's sustainability posture with the 3 key suppliers, ExxonMobil, BCAT, and Duke Energy. The goal was to intensify their alignments. ExxonMobil focuses on intensity reduction. This is emissions per unit of product. The problem here is clear. Intensity targets allow total emission to rise if production increases. This directly undermines the absolute reduction Michelin needs to achieve. The difference in ambition type is financially unacceptable for Michelin to grow their supply chain. And the last one is the base year used. Finally, we have the issue of basic comparability. Michelin and BCAT use 2019 as their base year, but our supplier use different years. ExxonMobil uses 2016 and Duke Energy uses 2005. This seemingly small detail means you can't compare progress side by side. It makes calculating a single unified decarbonization roadmap nearly impossible. This data fracture in scope, ambition, and baseline proves that God will alone cannot solve the problem. The system is designed for failure. I will now detail our top 5 gap analysis, which explain why these data points create the critical risk that our solution must resolve. if it is strong and where the gap exists that could delay Michelin's decarbonization target. So the first one, which is the ambition. Michelin already operates with a science-based 1.5 degrees Celsius climate target with clear absolute CO2 reduction goals, but the suppliers are not moving at the same speed. For example, ExxonMobil still relies heavily on intensity targets, not absolute cuts. BCAT is ambitious but not fully net zero aligned, and Duke Energy aims for net zero, but the transition away from coal is slow. This creates a big gap because Michelin cannot meet its own CO2 goals unless its suppliers also commit to ambitious absolute reductions. So we classify this as high risk. For the second, which is the scope and baseline consistency. Michelin uses a 2019 baseline, and which includes scope 1, 2, and the key scope 3 emissions. But the suppliers use different baselines and different scope boundaries. ExxonMobil uses a 2016 baseline, Duke Energy uses 2005, and they all cover scope 3 differently. This makes the data non-comparable. If everyone is using a different starting year and different boundaries, we can't measure the progress accurately. So we harmonize the baseline and scope boundaries, which is a major priority. The third one is the data quality and verification. Michelin uses verified ESG reporting with consistent methodology. The suppliers also report emissions but not with the same depth, frequency, or methodology. For example, Duke Energy reports using both market-based and location-based electricity accounting, while others may not. Verification levels differs across the upstream of Michelin. So this leads to inconsistent data, making it difficult to compare emissions or track progress fairly. We rated this as a medium risk because data exists but needs standardization. And the fourth one, which is the milestones and incentives. Michelin has clear 2030 and 2050 milestones and even uses internal carbon pricing, but suppliers do not have shared timelines or supplier-linked incentives. This may cause no synchronized roadmap, and progress can easily become misaligned, creating shared milestones and linking performance to procurement incentives like long-term contracts. We all close this gap. And the fifth one is capability, financing, and policy blockers. Michelin has strong internal capacity, and budgets for decarbonization, but suppliers face different barriers. ExxonMobil is affected by global oil and gas policies. BCAT may face financing limitations. Duke Energy is a regulated utility, so policies sometimes slow down decarbonization. These structural constraints can slow alignment. We rated this as medium risk, and it will require capacity building, co-investment, and partnership advocacy to solve. Overall, these 5 gaps explain why supply alignment is crucial. Michelin can only hit its climate target if all key suppliers move together using comparable data, harmonized timelines, and shared accountability. Our ISCEA agreement is designed to address this gap and create a unified decarbonization pathway, and only will run us through that.
From the gap analysis, we've clearly seen the major differences in targets, baseline, data consistency, and scope coverage between Michelin and its suppliers. Now, I'll be focusing on the next step, how we can practically close those gaps through cooperation, shared action, and shared accountability via the multi-party agreements guided by the Supply Chain Sustainability Cooperation Model. The SCSCA model is a framework designed to keep Michelin and its suppliers together in a structured way forward towards shared climate goals. It doesn't replace individual company strategies. Instead, it aligns them so that everyone reports, measures, and acts in the same direction. This agreement has 6 core pillars. Each pillar directly fixes on one or more of the gaps we've identified in our analysis. Shared targets. All 4 companies commit to science-based GHG targets aligned with Michelin's 2030 and 2050 net zero goals. This fixes the gap in inconsistent ambition levels. Common baseline year. The agreement adopts 2019 as the unified baseline year. This eliminates confusion caused by different starting points. Standardized scope coverage. All parties report on the same scope 1, scope 2, and relevant scope 3 emissions every year. This sorts the gap in inconsistent scope boundaries. Data transparency and verification. Every company must submit annually verified GHG data into a shared digital dashboard. This fixes data inconsistency and lack of transparency. Collaborative governance. A joint sustainability steering committee oversees progress, evaluates risks, and reviews performance. This creates continuous cooperation rather than isolated reporting. Accountability and incentives. Sustainability performance becomes part of procurement decisions, with rewards for compliance and corrective plans for underperformance. This ensures accountability and action. Each pillar of this agreement directly responds to the gap identified in the analysis, differences in targets, baseline, scope definition, and data consistency. Together, these pillars create a unified, transparent, and accountable relationship between Michelin and its suppliers. Instead of 4 companies moving in different directions, this agreement brings them under one unified, coordinated system.
Thank you. The SCSCA provides the rules. Now we transition to the actual plan, the practical alignment roadmap. This 3-year strategy is designed to move us systematically from data uncertainty to verifiable GHG reduction. Our strategy is built on sequential phases to address the hardest problems first. Year 1, foundation and data alignment. The goal here is simple: eliminate data uncertainty. Our key action is enforcing the SCSCA's core mandate. ExxonMobil must deliver its first absolute scope 3 report in the second quarter. This single step immediately fixes gap 1 and 2 by providing Michelin with the true verifiable total mass of carbon that they purchase. We spend the rest of the year finalizing the SCSCA signature and standardizing everyone's 2019 baseline year. Year 2, co-investment and procurement. This phase shifts from measurement to solving the problem. Our major actions are directly aimed at our financial and relational gaps. We execute the Beckett co-investment plan, providing capital and support to solve Gap 5 capability blockers. Simultaneously, we link ISCEA performance to sourcing renewal policy in the third quarter, activating our financial and incentive system. And last but not least, the third year, year 3, which is optimization and scaling. This final phase focuses on efficiency and making the system permanent. Our primary action is implementing the automated GHG data flow using AI. This moves GHG accounting from a manual process to a real-time risk management tool. We also strategically evaluate Duke Energy's market-based energy options, ensuring Michelin locks in the cleanest possible power for the long term. Yes, this is the visual representation. And now the key performance indicators, also known as KPI. For this plan to be credible, we must hold ourselves accountable with simple, clear KPIs. The first one is outcome metric, annual absolute scope 3 reduction. This is the lagging indicator that measures the direct reduction achieved, validating our entire ISCEA strategy against Michelin's net zero goal. The second one is process metric, percentage of supplier data verified. We target 100%. This KPI tracks compliance with the assurance mandate, confirming we have successfully eliminated gap 3, which is data quality. The third one is engagement metric, performance-linked contract signed. This measures the success of our procurement integration, showing we've converted climate goals into strong business partnerships. Efficiency metric, data collection lag time. We must reduce this lag to less than 1 month. This is crucial for enabling AI and real-time risk management. This integrated approach ensures our actions are measurable and progress is verifiable. Next, we have our guardrails. Now, achieving these KPIs requires the use of powerful contractual levers, which, if mismanaged, can break the supplier relationship. Therefore, we must immediately implement controls to defend our solution. This brings us to what guardrails are needed when linking performance to sourcing. We prevent failure and build trust using 4 essential procurement guardrails. Guardrail 1, mandate capability first. This solves gap 5, which is capacity blockers. Michelin's policy must state that we offer support and training before we demand compliance. We invest in supplier success, making the goal feasible for everyone, especially back. Guardrail 2, the proportionality rule. This ensures fairness. Any financial incentive or penalty must be balanced against the supplier's overall importance and their size. We treat strategic high-impact partners correctly. Guardrail 3, the corrective action mandate. This is our safety net. In the event of a missed target, the contract prohibits immediate termination. Instead, the steering committee must first agree on a mandatory corrective action plan, CAP. This ensures our focus stays on collaboration and GHG reduction, not on cancelling contracts. Guardrail 4, absolute overcost. This guardrail is vital for the long term. It requires that sourcing decisions favor absolute GHG reduction over short-term price savings. It reinforces that climate value is more important than small immediate cost wins. Now, to make this protected solution smarter and faster, we must look into technology. This brings me to the role of AI. We are using AI to solve the problems that are too complex for humans to manage quickly. First, AI for data synthesis. The AI acts as our universal data converter. It automatically takes all the different complex reports, including ExxonMobil's intensity targets, and quickly converts them into the single absolute CO2 metric that Michelin needs for its reporting. Second, AI for scenario building. This helps the steering committee make smart decisions. The AI can run simulations predicting the financial and environmental impact of different choices. For example, which gives us a bigger scope 3 reduction, funding brackets new equipment, or negotiating a green contract with Duke Energy. You see, you can run simulations. Third, AI for continuous monitoring. This directly uses the fast data from our roadmap. The AI constantly watches the KPIs and immediately flags a deviation to the steering committee. This shifts us from reactive auditing to proactive risk management. We must acknowledge one final risk. AI is only as good as its data. If we feed it bad information, the system fails. This is the ultimate justification for our ISCEA assurance mandate. It guarantees the integrity of the data that powers our entire AI solution. This framework ensures our solution is protected, accurate, and ready for Michelin's 2050 goal. Over to Oyindamola to take over the conclusion.
Thank you, Chizoba. Looking back, our team has successfully explained why supplier alignment is essential for decarbonization, identified and analyzed the major gaps between Michelin and its suppliers, proposed the ISCEA model as a framework to close those gaps through shared action. By doing this, we've shown how alignment can transform complex supplier network into a united sustainable ecosystem. So, when we talk about alignment between Michelin and its suppliers, we are not just describing cooperation, we are building a future that breathes cleaner, brighter, and better. Now, imagine this, a city where the air is pure, the skies are clean, and the streets run on clean, renewable energy. Imagine an environment free of carbon, where industries operate responsibly, where innovation doesn't harm the planet but heals it. You might wonder, how is this happening? You might even ask, do we still live in a world like this? And the answer is yes, it is possible. It starts with partnership. It grows through accountability, and it becomes real through cooperation. With Michelin, ExxonMobil, Beckett, and Duke Energy working together hand in hand, we are not just reducing numbers on a chart, we are shaping a world where sustainability is not just a goal, it is a lifestyle. A carbon-free future is not far away. With alignment, cooperation, and courage, it is within reach, because the world we imagine today is the world we create tomorrow. Thank you.